It's Monday night, it's RaceSpotTV. We're here at Barber Motorsports Park in Georgia for a phenomenal night of racing here. Round number 11 of 12, season is nearly over. And we've got 32 drivers heading to the track tonight to take the battle to the very, very warm south of the US. It's starting to heat up now in May, of course, and track conditions tonight, it's actually pretty cool, weirdly enough. It's about 67 degrees Fahrenheit, track 89, winds southerly from 8 miles an hour or so. Humidity's really low considering it's Georgia, unusual, but either way, it's going to be oh, no, it's Alabama, not Georgia. I got that one backwards. Whoopsie. But either way, yeah. We're in Leeds, Alabama. I got myself backed up with that one. As Sam Edwards on the pole for now. Those times seem to be done, so we'll go to your starting grid. Simon Edwards on the pole tonight, 1 minute 36.835 with Jack Hobbs in second and Matt Cox in third. Ewan Patterson in fourth with Lee Anderson in fifth place. James Ralph Jones in sixth with Cameron Barker in seventh, Anthony Catt in eighth, Ben Daniels ninth, and Simon Mulby in 10th. Dave Kirkman 11th place with Paul Smith in 12th. Chris Morris, Chris Robertson, Christopher Keeble, Lewis Cannell with Anthony Jones, Clark Williams, and Christopher Kane with Mark Day in 20th. Rest of the results up on your screen. We've got 35 drivers ready to race here tonight, not 32. We've got some late additions there. And we're going to be going here for 15 laps tonight as those cars hit the starting grid. Getting ready to see what we can do on the racetrack this evening. 15 laps of racing, 2 races remain. Certainly going to be a very, very tight run to the line here. Monday Night Skippys forever tight championship. In fact, there's points tighter than ever. Edwards leading the way. Currently up about 20 points, so he's got a good chance with this one. So we'll get ourselves ready now, as all the cars have finally taken to the grid. Apart from Simon Edwards, your pole sitter. Jack Hobbs out there in second place, and we'll get that green light shortly once Edwards comes to the grid. He's waiting for a fashionably late entrance, I think. Of course, important racing for Hobbs, Catt, Daniels, and Jones. All of them up for a chance at the top 3 in points. Very, very big chance for them. Edwards takes to the grid now, and we'll be beginning that countdown here for the green flag on the starting stand. 15 laps to race, 35 cars taken to the track, and it should be a phenomenal race tonight. Big, big start to that lap, of course, with the large 180-degree right-hander, a climber crest, and a left-hander across the crest, always making for a difficult corner, and very dense traffic on what is normally a motorcycle track here in Atlanta, Alabama. Back in geography, I promise. Engines rev, start has a flag in hand. Green flag waves, and we're away here at Leeds, Alabama. I will get it right eventually. Edwards makes a good move to the outside there for the initial first corner. Everyone single filing at the start of your field. In fact, most of the field singling out there as soon as possible as we get a bit of tension back towards 15th, 20th. But the sharp end is still the Simon Edwards story. Jack Hobbs getting a good run there in second, goes to the inside for what will be turn 4 and 5 here at the bottom. Has the line on your leader. Initial early jump there by Hobbs, but a wide entrance taken by Simon Edwards. A defensive wide line, which could see him hold that position to the following sequence, but big shot there by Hobbs. Might still secure it, although I think the inside still held. Nose inside there for Edwards. Should help him here with 7 and 8, and the chicane re-secures that lead for Simon Edwards. Field shuttles down 3, runs wide though on the exit of the chicane. Hobbs comes through, in fact so will Matt Cox as well by the looks of things. Edwards might defend second place here, but a very interesting first lap there. Jack Hobbs absolutely racing as hard as he can here, wanting everything out of this race. Drivers behind all shuffling for position here. Lee Anderson back there in 5th place. He's working his hardest at the moment, trying to get himself back further forwards as all round goes the car of James Ruth Jones. A little bit of contact, I think. In fact, no, he just got himself loose coming out of the second chicane there. and went round and dumped himself into the tyre barrier. Takes the nose off the car. He'll be having to limp that thing back to pit road. It's faster than a tow, and he's only got one corner to go, technically, to get that car to pit entrance. So, going to be a wise decision, but having to wait for the field to pass takes a lot of time for him. Jack Hobbs in the lead here, of course, at Barber. Simon Edwards second, Matt Cox, Ewan Patterson, Anthony Catt, Lee Anderson. Drop back to 6th place. Racing there with Ben Daniels, actually. Daniels may have the line on him here. An extreme inside line taken by Daniels. He should clear him. He has. But you've also got the likes of Cameron Barker here looking at the inside on Anderson as well. Anderson's been very strong so far in what he's done these last few rounds, so it'd be nice to see what he can pull off from this one. 15th in points right now, but pulling himself forwards. At the sharp end, a bit of a breakaway here for Hobbs and Edwards. Front two getting away without much trouble. Behind them it's Cox, Patterson, and Catt. Catt here racing with Cox. Heading into the second chicane there. Good run here by Anthony Catt. Could he find the inside line? He will get the inside line for the third chicane. Cox lets him through. No need to fight this early. Don't want to get too far behind your lead too. Speaking of which, Edwards right up behind Jack Hobbs there. And Ewan Patterson right behind Catt and Cox. So a 2, a 3, and a 3 behind them, with a 2 coming up the rear there. Simon Maltby on a great run today. Qualified 10th, already in 9th. He's fighting further up the grid than he has in some time. Hobbs defending the inside line there from your leader. Rock the boat, yeah, they want to get that gap down between themselves and Edwards. Bring the fight back into an open battle rather than small pods fighting. Barber's one of those tracks where a little bit of time lost will be a major, major impact on your race time. The track, very time sensitive. Some small technical difficulties here for us on RaceSpotTV. We'll be back with you in just a few moments. We're back here on RaceSpotTV at Barber Motorsports Park, and there's been some absolute turmoil while we've been away. Technical difficulties, we do apologise, but things have changed at the sharp end as Simon Edwards had a bit of a run-in with Anthony Catt. He's lost power. In fact, he's limping here all the way back in the back of this group here. Simon Edwards had some big trouble. In fact, he got turned around after contact with the 19 in the chicane slightly cut the nose off Anthony Cat and got turned around. The two of them in some trouble there and collected by another car further back. Simon Edwards won't be picking up any points today by the looks of things. Right now, the running order is Jack Hobbs, Ewan Patterson, Matt Cox, and Ben Daniels there in 4th place, with Cameron Barker in 5th. Barker trying to attack on the outside of Daniels. Daniels holding him off quite nicely here. Actually, that's Matt Cox. Cameron Barker coming quite quickly behind that group. So it's Chris Robertson as well. Simon Maltby there with Dave Kirkman fighting for 7th and 8th place, working their way forwards. Cat, after his contact, is back in 9th place with Jones just behind him there. Chris Morris and Clark Williams side by side behind them. Vaughan Roberts, Lee Anderson there, points contender. Tony Stack, Adrian Hendy, Stefan Nobis, Christopher Keeble, all fighting for position with Lewis Cannell on his own towards the rear of your top 20. But right now it's a 2-horse race here. Ewan Patterson, Jack Hobbs duking it out on lap 5 for the lead. Not long ago it was Simon Edwards and Jack Hobbs, and now Patterson finds his way up here from 4th on the grid to 2nd in the race. But Ben Daniels, biggest climber so far, 9th to 4th. He's really pushing things for himself. Or biggest in the top 10, I should say. Some of the big moves throughout the field, but Edwards is looking promising right now. He's looking for that 3rd place. Well, he is in 3rd place now, so moved himself into a podium spot here. But the gap is quite large to Ewan Patterson and Jack Hobbs. It's going to be roughly 3.6 seconds. Quite a lot of racetrackers just behind them. I believe that was Chris Robertson, lost it in turn 1 on his own. Took himself to the actually runoff area on the outside, just stepped out back, ran wide on the racetrack into the gravel trap, managed to recover, but he has lost a lot of positions there. Our trio for 3rd, 4th and 5th, Cox, Daniels and Barker, all vying for position. Everyone trying to get something out of this race. This is the replay down your screens, of course, just a moment ago. Very easy to lose grip with these cars. The new tyre model and the Skip Barber are a lot more slippery than it used to be. Hobbs keeping a good about 3 to 4 tenths of a second gap here on Patterson. No real challenge we're seeing yet from Ewan as he tries to make his way towards the leader. Lap traffic up ahead of them could be an issue in the near future. We'll keep our eyes on that. Ben Daniels seems to have cemented his lead over Matt Cox at the moment in 3rd place. That trio of cars very close together, but it seems a lot of cars have been getting closer and closer, getting a little too close in some circumstances. Everyone needs to mind the fact these things don't have bumpers. We'll be starting lap 7 at this time by as the gap grown between Patterson and Daniels. It has indeed 3.7, so it's gone on by about a 10th. Patterson about half a second back from your leader, Jack Hobbs, at the moment on lap number 7. Going to be halfway through by the end of this lap. Although considering we're doing 15 laps, we'll be halfway through about now, as they reach about the halfway point in the lap. Barber Motorsports Park, not a very long lap around this track. 16 turns, but it's only 2.38 miles. So quite a curvy racetrack, a lot of corners, but absolutely not a lot of racetrack itself. Designed primarily for motorcycles and has a lot of good motorcycle racing here. More difficult in bigger cars. Skip Barber is probably one of the biggest cars you'll see really succeeding around this track. As I believe we had a little bit of contact towards the rear. We did. In fact, Anthony Jones had an issue in the first chicane. And I can't quite tell what's happened to him here, but it looks like he's lost the back end of his car. As I'm looking down here, side by side with Maltby, and appeared to have a bit of a moment, technical fault possibly, and ended up going off the track. Heavy nose contact, he's going to be out of this race, so Jones will be down and out. That moves Clark Williams up to 9th place by default behind Maltby there. Cat's working his way forwards here, trying to get past Kirkman, who is currently residing in 6th place. Anthony Cat, we know, has got a fast car. Trying to find an opportunity here to make a move on Kirkman. Heading up across the line on lap 7. On to 8. Will he make a move into 1? A little bit too early for that sort of thing. There's a couple of cars. Keeble, I believe, coming out of pit road there. Staying wide, not interfering with the racing line. That's how it's done. Cat's going to get a good run through 1 and 2 here. Good gains here on Kirkman. We should see him dive to the inside here for 4 and 5. Predictably easy move there by Anthony Cat. Gets a good run through the corner. Wide runs Kirkman, and we should see a clean pass there. Clean pass there by Anthony Cat, returning him to a 6th position on the racetrack. But here comes back Kirkman into that first chicane and just dives it back up the inside. Holds it nicely, but will he make too tight an entry to the second part? Not quite, but it lets Cat get to his outside here. If Cat can hold him around the outside for the first part of the second chicane, he should have the advantage coming up out of that corner. No, Kirkman holds it still alongside. This will bring the likes of Clark Williams behind him right back into this fight. Too wide to a chicane is not the fastest way. Kirkman putting on a strong performance today here at Barber Motorsports Park, holding off some bigger names. Definitely giving himself a good showing. Ran a bit wide there. In fact, nearly everybody did in that corner. Just sliding out through the long climbing right. Diving through the final corner now. Back onto the start-finish line. Start lap number 9. Up at the front, it's Hobbs and Patterson still. Those two haven't really moved apart. They're still 0.3 apart. Daniels has got the gap down again to about 3.5, but no real gains here as Ben Daniels still leads the way in 3rd. Ahead of Matt Cox and Cameron Barker. Dave Kirkman successfully holding off Cat, Williams, Maltby and Vaughan Roberts just behind them. Very strong performance by Dave Kirkman. In fact, looking at him right now in his overall standings, I don't think Kirkman's really been up around that top 20 too much so far. In fact, no, he is 11th place in the standings overall. 10 starts with the counts taken into effect. The drop weeks. He's had 1 top 10 this season. This might be his 2nd place if he can hold on here. Be great for his championship results. Ewan Patterson, though, still not closing on Hobbs. In fact, he's dropped back a bit here. Hobbs seemingly getting a far larger gap in this race. Although keeping an eye on other races in this one. Simon Edwards is out on track, 27th place. He's on the lead lap, in fact, he's just ahead of your leader, Jack Hobbs. And, well, we know what happens when cars that get wrecked catch up with the person who's been involved with them, and that would be Anthony Cat a bit further back. I'm sure that conversation will be a delightful one if we see them. But finally still on the lead lap here, 27th place for Simon Edwards, who was leading so dominantly in this race, fighting there with Jack Hobbs. Just got back to the lead when he had that incident. Behind them, Daniel still leading from Cox and Barker. Kirkman runs wide though in turn 1. And oh my gosh, that was so close to an incident. We'll have to show you a replay of what happened there. But in turn number 2, after running wide on the exit of 1, Kirkman just slides onto the grass and cuts straight across the track, dancing right between the cars of Anthony Cat and Clark Williams, missing them both by millimeters. My gosh, that was absolutely crazy. Very near major accident on the racetrack there. But somehow Kirkman held on with the race of his life today. Great performance from Dave Kirkman. And great avoidance by Williams and Cat there. To just miss threading the needle with that one. But he's almost still kept up with them. Impressive driving here. Daniels still successfully ahead of Matt Cox. As we come towards the end of lap number 10 here at Barber in Atlanta, Alabama. I apologize, America. I'm really, really bad at this one. I do know the difference between Atlanta and Alabama and Georgia. I know it's Atlanta, Georgia, and I keep getting mixed up with the owl for some reason because my brain has told me that Barber is in Georgia. And I know it's not. I know it's in Alabama. I hope you can forgive me. At least I've not said Florida yet. Although what I would pay to see Florida's superhero, Florida Man, take to the track. Jack Hobbs still a good gap here. 4 or 5 tenths of a second ahead of Ewan Patterson. Patterson gaining though, but not very quickly. Only going to have 5 laps left to do something here if he wants to try and win this race. Daniels pulls a bit of a gap here on Cox and Barber. Williams is now leading that gap from 6th place. Great gap there over Kirkman and Maltby. As I believe we've lost Cat out of that group. We have indeed. I need to go back and find out what happened to Anthony Cat. That was something that happened off screen for us, but Anthony Cat is out of the race here. In fact, he came to the final corner there on the end of the last lap. Got some grass on the outside and just turned it into the inside wall. Huge impact there for Anthony Cat. And it's getting closer to the front of the race here as, look at this, Ewan Patterson right up there with Jack Hobbs. Could we see Ewan Patterson win today in Alabama? This would be huge. Absolutely massive for him if you could do something with this one. Ewan Patterson 18th in points. He's had 3 top 10s so far this season. Performing great at the moment. And oh, a bit of a wobble there from Jack Hobbs, and he loses the lead here towards the end of the race. That could be a critical mistake. Almost made the same mistake as Anthony Cat there, as Jack Hobbs just narrowly rescues his car. Has to slow down massively to save himself from going into the wall, and wow, that was close. Exactly the same thing as Cat. Ran wide, got grass on the outside of the final corner, and lost a lot of speed here. And this is seeing Ewan Patterson go through to the lead right now. Can he hold off Jack Hobbs? That'll be the question. Will this fight destroy the 3-second deficit to Ben Daniels? They're a lot closer now, and they can see the leaders. This is going to be interesting to see if that gap comes down at all, especially if Patterson and Hobbs end up fighting. I did notice that before this happened, Patterson really caught up to Hobbs. He was really starting to threaten him, put some pressure on him. Maybe that pressure caused a mistake from Jack Hobbs. But for now, we just keep our eyes on them. Patterson doing his best here just to run clean laps. Try and keep that car out of any mistakes, out of any trouble. Jack Hobbs focusing, laser focused on that rear gearbox of Patterson in the 22. Looks to the inside for the 3rd chicane. But Patterson has the right racing line, holds the racing line there. Good defensive run. Doing a great job here. Look at this one now. Here comes Hobbs looking at the inside, but will it be enough? Is it a bit late? He gets a little wide there. Patterson holds the racing line. Hobbs is going to be a little nervous coming out of the final quarter this time by. Making sure he keeps that car intact. Perhaps won't push quite as hard. Doesn't quite have the same gap there over Patterson, which tells me he lifted slightly just to make sure he didn't run wide. Giving Patterson the lead here, heading on to lap 13. Could this be the lucky lap 13 for Patterson, or is it going to be unlucky? As it is for so many other people. The gap now, still 3.5 seconds, is not looking like it's really improving for Daniels, Cox and Barber to involve them in this lead battle, but Jack Hobbs desperate to try and find a way back past Patterson after his mistake. Got to give it to Jack Hobbs though. Fantastic save there by Jack Hobbs to stop himself going into the inside wall, but it did cost him the lead. And what would you prefer, 2nd place or leading the whole race and crashing? I don't know which I'd pick, but then again, I'm a strategist. Into the 1st chicane there. Nice wide entry by both of them, keeping the good exit speed. Patterson keeping very clean lines here, doing what he can to make sure this race stays as fluid as possible. Keeping his eyes on Hobbs behind him, but also keeping his eyes ahead of him into every corner. Behind them, Daniels, Cox and Barber still pretty separated out, not much happening here. Clark Williams leading a good gap over the cars of Robertson, Kirkman and Maltby. All 3 of them, look at that, super close there. Back in 9th with Maltby sandwiched between the cars of Kirkman and Vaughan Roberts. Heading towards that 3rd chicane. Will we see any passing here? This guy's running in very close formation considering how loose some of these cars are getting here, as Kirkman runs a bit wide, and so does Vaughan Roberts there. Lee Anderson coming up close behind him. A couple of guys being very cautious, running extra wide here. Those cars just being pushed right to the limit for all the speed they can muster. Doing whatever they can here to try and keep this rails wide. He goes again. There goes Vaughan Roberts, as this will give a good run to Lee Anderson just behind him. Anderson up the inside into 1. Has the inside line, but inside still held by Vaughan Roberts. Will he take it a too tight a line into the corner? Let's give a good cutback opportunity on the exit here for Anderson. It might just do that. Anderson can look to the inside into 4 and 5. Or is he a textbook pass there from the 337? Gets it done. Goes a bit wide on the exit though. Lets the cutback come from Vaughan Roberts. Vaughan Roberts will still defend there. Side by side into the first chicane here. Vaughan Roberts on the outside takes the lead in that position. Here comes Anderson behind him. Not going to have the same speed on exit. Back to your leaders. It is Hobbs has gotten back past Patterson here, but he's run wide on the grass, giving an advantage Patterson. Can Patterson find a way through here? Lap 14. Not long to go, but Patterson looking very racy tonight. On to lap 14 here. No, on to lap 15, sorry, I should say. Final lap here at Barber Motorsports Park in Leeds, Alabama. Everything matters now for Ewan Patterson. Can Jack Hobbs defend without making a mistake for a lap? It'll be critical if he can. Ben Daniels, good gap over Cox. Cox, good gap over Barker. Not likely to see a change there. We'll stick with your lead here. It's down into 4 and 5 they come. Comfortable for Jack Hobbs, but can Patterson just get close enough? Can he find that extra speed to make something happen here? Patterson willing everything he can behind the wheel of that Skip Barber Formula 2000 car to try and just eke an extra tenth in a corner to try and get that little bit closer here to Jack Hobbs. Does a great run through the second chicane there, closes the gap, but the exit speed's not quite as good. Kind of chucked it in there. 2 chicanes to go and 1 big right sweeper. Has he got an opportunity, or is it still in Jack Hobbs' favor? Could Hobbs make it without a mistake? He's made 1. It's got to be in the back of his mind. Will he make another? 3rd chicane. Big closing by Patterson here. Is he going to force him to run as wide as possible? Both cars keep it within the confines of the track. Into the final sequence here, and Patterson's so close he can taste it. Runs a wider line. Catches up right through the apex of the corner here. Tucks it up the inside line into the final corner. Patterson inside. Coming out of the final corner. It's neck and neck as they run to the line. But on the outside, Jack Hobbs just has the steam. Hobbs will take it at the final flag here at Barber Motorsports Park. What a phenomenal finish there. 0.064 seconds apart. Bravo, gentlemen. What an end to that race here as more and more cars will filter across the line there. Daniels in 3rd place. Cox, Barker, no change to those positions as we expected. A phenomenal end to the race there here at Barber. Throughout the field, more cars come across the line. We've got Maltby, Anderson, and fielders coming across together. A very close battle there with Tufts and Maltby. Tufts just beating him out there, in fact. Maltby finishing up in 12th place. Hendy, Anderson coming across the line. Campbell. No other real close races so far. We'll go to your post-race results. Jack Hobbs comes home with the win today at Barber after a close run thing at the end with Ewan Patterson in 2nd. Ben Daniels in 3rd, with Matt Cox in 4th. Cameron Barker in 5th with Clark Williams, Chris Robertson, Dave Kirkman and Nicholas Vaughan Roberts with Chris Morris in 10th. Daniel Tufts 11th place with Simon Maltby, Adrian Hendy, Lee Anderson, Tony Stack in 15th place. Lewis Cannell in 16th with John McGovern, Matt Delamain, Christopher Kane and Stefan Traversinto in 20th. Behind them is Patterson, Ruth Jones, Paul Smith, Simon Edwards recovers to 24th, stays in the lead lap. Neil Stevenson with Christopher Keeble, Anthony Katz, Mark Day, Troy Adams, Dave Dowson, Anthony Jones, and Stefan Nobis. Well, a very busy end to Monday Night at Skippys there, and a phenomenal race we've had here tonight at Leeds, Alabama. I got it right, finally. It only took 25 tries. Thank you so much, folks, for joining us tonight. We'll catch you same time next week for the big conclusion to Monday Night Skippys. We'll see you then.